the criticism is that the MENA startup scene has seen a lot of hype run ahead of actual exits. To that, you say what?
We've had, as I said, we've had 6 exits. Our fund 1 is sitting as a top decile DPI for its vintage globally, as well as TVPI. Our fund 2 is sitting as a top decile DPI globally, as well as TVPI across all metrics. We take a look at all the rankings. So I think that there is a little bit of rumors or maybe historical nuances that people continue into the present. But today we are seeing lots of opportunity to invest and to exit. In my experience, I've personally run an IPO out of the region, personally sold a company to a private equity firm out of the region. So I can say on an operator side, it's doable. And now I can say on an investor side, it's doable. And we've proved that.
Let's talk about the opportunity. You said Global Ventures is thesis-led just a moment ago. So what is the investment thesis that's ultimately guiding your next wave of deployments now? What are the opportunities that you're specifically looking out for at a sector level, for example, where you see the best opportunity for growth?
So beyond the obvious AI and where does AI sit? It sits across industries as far as we're concerned. We think that there's a lot of opportunity in anything that's related to supply chain technology, logistics, and anything related to agri-tech and food security. And those are 2 industries that are really about to change even faster in the next 5 years. Our job is to say which industry 5 years from now is massively different to 5 years ago and invest at that Series A stage. And today in 2025, we can say that by 2030, the way that we manufacture and ship in this part of the world will be drastically different. When we take a look at the percentage of our GDP derived from manufacturing, it's still low compared to global standards. So as that grows, and there is an incentive for it to grow, as that grows, we're not going to build manufacturing capabilities of the 90s. We're going to build additive manufacturing solutions. We're going to build 3D printing. So as we think about what that industry looks like, the lack of legacy incumbents enables technology companies to come in and scale faster. Just like how we were 85% unbanked 7 years ago, now we're at 52% unbanked, nobody built banks. Similarly, it's those tech companies that come in and build industries. And then on the food security side, as the GCC, we still import 85% of our food. Again, if you think 5 years from now versus 5 years ago, 5 years ago, indoor farming and other food solutions were simply conceptual and being tested and loss-making. Now they're profitable, scalable, and as we look 5 years ahead, that 85% imported food number is going to drop. And so what are the companies that are coming in on a tech level to enable that scale of that industry so that we can achieve those marks? So those are the 2 industries where we see, yes, AI, of course, but those are the 2 industries where we see the opportunities coming in and saying this part of the world, given the lack of legacy incumbents, the drive to create change in these industries on many levels, from sustainability to continue to be a logistics hub as the UAE, and then to food security as something that's instrumental for every country in the world. Those are the ones where technology is being embraced the fastest.
Noor, it's really fascinating. And like you, I speak with a lot of global investors who are not just regionally based, but internationally based, looking at opportunities in the region. And one thing I'm consistently hearing is there is an explosion, a huge level of interest in private debt and private credit. And I'm wondering if that is a challenge for equity investors like yourself. Is it a competition, or do you see it complementing what it is that you're trying to do out here?
I think it's a collaboration, and those markets specifically haven't grown as quickly as the equity markets over the last few years. So I definitely think there's an opportunity for private debt, private credit to come in and accelerate the growth of many of these companies. We've seen that in some of our companies where they've been able to take on some of that capital and some of that debt and equity that really enables them to build a balance sheet that's very healthy and to enable their scale in a methodical way, rather than just incur dilution round after round.
The other interesting thing we're seeing is Saudi Arabia and the UAE in particular moving fast in areas like AI, which you've explained really, really well, and also fintech. Do you think the startups in the region and founders are keeping pace with government ambition? This is an interesting angle to unpack as well, because obviously there's so much investment happening at a sovereign level into these sectors. What does it mean for founders looking to start businesses in the space? Again, do you see that as a collaborative effort, or is it competition?
I don't think it's competition. I think that one of the very strong parts of the region is the 10-year plans and the 5-year plans that the governments share with the public. So there's a vision on what the country looks like 10 years out and 5 years out. And if you take a look at whether it was Vision 2030 for Saudi Arabia, D33 for Dubai, the governments do come in and say, this is what we'd like to achieve. Here are the sectors we consider important. And then they do collaborate with the private sector, say, how can we enable you as private sector to help us grow these different industries? So it's very collaborative and symbiotic in the ways that the efforts are put forward. And there's definitely space to converse and to work together to create this economic opportunity and growth that we see.
Noor, just to tie a bow around this, before we wrap it up, what's one thing to watch in the VC space over the next 12 to 18 months in the Gulf? And what would you say is the biggest risk to what you're trying to achieve right now?
So I think, it's really interesting to think through not just supply chain, agri-tech, AI, but really the space to watch, I think, over the coming 5 years. And then 18 months specifically, is how we integrate AI across all of the different sectors. And because the companies in the region are still young and agile, they're able to do that. The leadership is young and agile and able to do that. And I think it's really interesting to watch that AI space across the region. I think that the biggest risk is too much enthusiasm. So I think we do need to take a look and say, how do we do this incredibly well, methodically, over a long period of time? And really take a look at collaborating across the board globally, bringing in investors across different industries, not just one industry.